quick note. If you want to understand what really makes people succeed in German and how you can build a language to actually use it, join my free live workshop at bettergerman.info/workshop. Welcome to the Better German podcast. My name is Susie Blümel, and I will teach you German and everything around the language, the countries, and the culture. Welcome to the third part of my mini-series. It's the third and the last part of Introduction to German Cases. This was originally going to be one episode, but then it turned out to be super long and super intense, and then I decided to split it up in 3 episodes. So, if you haven't listened to the first 2 episodes, I suggest you to do that. In the first 2 episodes, we've covered what are cases at all, why do they even exist, and what are they, because they do not really exist in English, except for one little thing that's left over. And we've also covered the different names of the cases and some basic ideas about these cases. And we've gone over how verbs determine cases. And in this episode, I'm going to give you a short introduction on how prepositions are determining the German cases, and also a short introduction into some special preposition that ask for specific cases in different situations. Before we jump into the prepositions and the cases, I want to tell you, if you're new to my podcast and you do not at this point have a specific problem with cases, I suggest you to start on a different episode. A short summary about cases is there are different forms for certain kinds of words. You'll hear it in the first 2 episodes, depending on the position in the sentence. Depending on your own native language, this could be something that you have to wrap your mind around it. Don't get crazy. It is totally possible to learn it. Get the cheat sheet and look at the examples in there. And also, like, where you really learn it is by making it your own examples and also reading and looking and checking, okay, why is this case there? Which one of the rules have been applied there? And over time, you will learn. Don't worry. There is no problem if you make any mistakes in the beginning. When you actually do one of my courses, you practice the specific correctness of the sentences only when you learn sentence patterns. There's a whole lot of episodes in my podcast that are sentence patterns. This is the way where you learn how to build correct sentences. And when you practice those, then you make sure that you have everything perfectly and the cases are correct. When you do conversations, when you do other things, or just try to talk to people, don't worry about it too much, because if you stop speaking because you're afraid that you may make a mistake, then you've been overcorrected or overcorrecting yourself, because that's not the point. You're not learning German in order to have perfect grammar, but you're learning German in order to communicate. And then over time, you add more correctness in grammar and things like that. Okay, good. So, preposition, let's talk about those. Prepositions, these are small words like on, under, behind. They also always ask for a specific case. And you just learn them. And the most frequent ones, the ones that you will use most, want accusative or dative. And you learn them. I'm going to give you a few examples. Ich gehe zu dem Haus. The whole sentence means I go to the house. To is a preposition. And this preposition, zu, always wants the dative. And dem Haus is dative. Ich gehe zu dem Haus. Or another example would be the sentence, sie strickt für den Mann. She knits for the husband or for the man. So, den Mann is accusative. And this little word für, for, wants accusative. And that's why we have den Mann. It's accusative. The good news is there are not that many prepositions. There may be, I don't know, off of the top of my head, 50 prepositions max that are used a lot in German. And most of them demand one specific case. So when you learn that preposition, you just make sure that you understand what this is. You make examples. First, you understand what it means. And then when you make the examples and you practice that preposition, you also make sure that you know all the different forms that it asks for. And you make a lot of examples, and then you just learn how to use that correctly. And then maybe you will sometimes make a mistake for it, but over time you will use it correctly. Maybe you have had the thought, maybe I'm not good at German. Then I want to assure you that's not the point. That's not the problem. I'm going to show you what is the problem. And how I show you is I have actually put together a workshop. It's a free live workshop on Zoom. And in there, I'm going over what could make you think that. We'll cover what could go wrong, but I'm also going to show you how can it be done right? So go to bettergerman.info/workshop and sign up for the workshop, and I'll see you there. Okay. One last thing I want to mention. There are some specific prepositions, and they're not a lot. In fact, there are 6, 7, 8, 9 of them that have a specialty. They ask for either the dative or the accusative, depending on the situation. And I just want to give you like a 2-minute intro. This is also covered with a lot of examples in the cheat sheet that you get when you go to either bettergerman.info/cases. This is going to bring you directly to the place where you can access the cheat sheet. You can go to bettergerman.info/ give me 1 second, I just have to find out. 37, bettergerman.info/37, and there you get the show notes, or you will find also the link everywhere you might listen to this podcast. So, however, these specific prepositions are the small words in, which mean either in or at or to, on, auf, which is on, hinter, which is behind, neben, which is next to, über, which is above, unter, which is under, vor, which is in front of, or to the front of. This one's actually an easier one. Zwischen, which is between, and an, which is at or on, like an der Wand is at the wall. So, and either one dative or accusative, and that could be confusing because if you look at the examples, you will see that this, I understand that this is particularly for English-speaking people, something that you have to wrap your mind around. So basically, it's not very difficult. When you have, let's take in as an example. It's valid for all of these words that I told you. When you ask where is something happening, and in this sense that it's not a motion towards or a direction. So, he is at the party. Or he learns at school. So there is no motion or direction involved. Then you use dative. And as opposed to, if you want to know, or you could ask for it, where to? It's not something that you would probably ask in English all the time. But anyway, if you using the sense of where to, then you're using Akkusativ. So I'm giving you an example. In German, ich bringe die Box in den Keller. So I'm bringing the box to the basement, or in the basement, or I put the box in the basement. So then in den Keller is a direction. I'm bringing it to the basement. And you could ask, like, where to do I put this, or where to am I bringing this? And then you have Akkusativ. Or das Kind lernt in der Schule. The child learns at school is dative because it's where, but der Mann fährt in die Schule. The man is driving or drives to the school. So where to is he driving? So when you can ask where to, just with these 8 prepositions, then you use accusative. And when it's just a place and there is no direction or motion or like this is not a destination where something is going to, then you use dative. This is just for those 8. However, those 8 are used very much. And all the other prepositions ask for one case only. Good. So, summarize what is determining which case we are using is either the verb, or if I have a preposition in that sentence, the preposition. So basically, to sum it up very shortly, cases are, in certain languages, including German, different forms that some of the words in a sentence take based on the position in the sentence or based on the function in the sentence, actually. And they're determined either by the verb, which is the word like walk, talk, see, or the preposition, which are the little words like auf, unter, if there is a preposition in the sentence. So the most frequent cases are the basic form, the nominativ, erster Fall, and the accusativ, vierter Fall. So there is very much more that could be said about cases, but I wanted to make this just an introduction and basically a basic definition of what cases are. So go and download the cheat sheet where you will find a summary of this for you to look at again. You find it at bettergerman.info/cases, or you will also find the link in the show notes. And the show notes you find in bettergerman.info/35 for the number of the episode, and this one is 35. By the way, if you're learning German in one of my courses, in the beginner's course, you will not hear the word cases because you're learning German in a different way and you're learning even how to make correct sentences in a different way than in most traditional courses. So if you're looking for a course with not a lot of grammar and you're still learning correctly how to speak German, but with much more practice and little theory, then take a look at the Better German Academy and see what's there. There's more courses being added. You can already enroll at the German Beginners course, at the Total Beginners course, and you will see what's there. There are different courses. There are some courses that just take you from beginner to very advanced, but there are also specialist courses like courses for pronunciation or a movie challenge. So take a look at that, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye. Here is a story from one of my students. She came to Austria because of love, and she started learning German, and she tried learning German, and she learned German with different people. She had private teachers and private tutors that tried to help her, and she worked hard, and she didn't speak German. Then she came to me. I worked with her, and she was not a difficult student, frankly. Not at all. She was one of the easiest students I've ever had. We didn't do private lessons. She was in one of my small group programs, and after 2 months, she spoke German. That's her saying that, not me. Her name was Diana. And I'm not telling you this because I want to tell you how great of a teacher I am, but I'm telling this to you because what was wrong here was the method. It wasn't her, it wasn't the language. And most people, when they run into a problem, they think it's them or they think it's the language. And it's neither of them. Everyone can learn German, but you have to use the right method. So if you want to know what you can do to actually learn German, then join me in the free workshop, How to Actually Learn German. It's really a culmination of all the things that I'm using in my German programs and also in the podcast, by the way. Join me in the workshop. It's a live free workshop with me. I'd love to see you there. It's on Zoom, and you can find out everything about it at bettergerman.info/workshop.